What's up, IT friends? How's it going? As some of you know, if you've heard some of my content in the past, I started off working for a small MSP that I was very fortunate to be a part of helping grow into a very large MSP that is continued to grow after I've left, and by all accounts is doing a really good job, especially for an MSP growing that quickly, acquiring that many companies, and that's been bought by PE. So there you go, folks. It's possible. Around the time that we got super huge through mergers, we reached a point where within the organization, due to all the acquisitions, including us, there were just so many, managers, owners, executives. It was just a lot. It was a lot of chaos. There was a lot of smart people that all had opinions that were all trying to work to help better the overall business, but there's a lot of voices. And I remember at that time thinking like, oh, I have had enough of this symphony of talented musicians that are not quite playing along to the same piece. Wish I could go just stock shelves at Lowe's. And that mentality for a brief moment came from this idea that simply having a defined job where my roles and responsibilities are very concrete, I could punch in, pick up the box, put down the box, and punch out. There's a certain amount of satisfaction and pleasure in that concept that, despite the reduction in compensation, had its own reward. Something I find happening with me, and I know a lot of this happens to a lot of my peers, and I know for a fact if you work for an MSP, you felt this way. MSPs are, by nature of what they do, a little bit unpredictable. They're inherently a little bit disorganized. And yeah, there's a spectrum of good to bad MSPs, but just in general, we all know, anybody who's been here for a while, you know that if you're signing on to work at an MSP, you are signing on to drink from a fire hose. You're going to get wet. You are not going to catch all the water. It is probably going to hurt. Like, we all know that. And I think that folks tend to settle into two major buckets around that, either acceptance or aggravation. And I see these posts on Reddit all the time of where folks will describe, from an employee level, their MSP, this drinking from a fire hose experience, how they're being pulled in a million directions, how their goals and deliverables change daily, just all of that chaos, and how their company sucks and they can't stand it. And then there'll be an army of folks who will jump in that will agree with them. And then an army of folks who will jump in and say, not every MSP is like that. Don't give up in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I know I felt that way. I felt that way in my roles in the past. I felt that way. Really, every role I've ever had. I have had days or weeks where I have just felt like this is chaotic. I wish we could just stay the course. I wish we could just have a plan. I'm aggravated. I don't want to have to think today. And then there it is. Don't want to have to think today. So you know what a very, very smart man said to me the other day on a call where we were discussing creating educational content for that very type of employee. This very, very smart man said to me, what if that's the job? What a profound statement right there. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk or bring everything back to today. Folks, we could go get those jobs where we pick up box, we put down box, somebody's already thought for us, and we just do the task. Those jobs exist. If that's the job you want, the current state in the MSP space probably isn't for you, because here, that is the job. Thinking, figuring it out, having to be the person, the human at your organization that recognizes that there is no script for this current situation. There's no plan. There's no documentation. There's no history of the last 5 times it's happened, whether because it hasn't happened or no one wrote it down. And you got to figure it out, and you got to be excellent, and you have to treat that end user in spectacular fashion, even though you would love to drown them in a bathtub. That's the job, guys. That's the job. And I think that's worth writing on a piece of paper and sticking up somewhere that you can see every day. It's a good reminder. This is why you were hired. This is, especially if whether you're new or you've been here for a while, your MSP, your company saw in you that you were capable of doing that. That you were capable of looking into that chaos, staring that chaos, that void, staring into it, feeling that call of the void and saying, nah, I got this. And figuring out a solution, knowing that no one was going to applaud for you. You weren't going to get a medal for it. You might not even get a thanks for it, but you're going to figure it out. That's the job. And a lot of you are really good at that. So this individual that I have the benefit of talking to, fascinating person. It's Keith Craig over at Empath. If you have worked for a large company in one of those pick up the box, put down the box kind of jobs in the last 20 years, there is a non-zero chance that Keith Craig developed their training and learning program. He's worked for some really, really, really big companies. And it's fascinating to hear how he approaches the way we think about work and learning and jobs. And I'll probably steal more ideas from more videos from my conversations with him. But I just thought that was super profound, and I needed to hear it. And I think some of you need to hear that. What if that's the job? Turns out it is. And that's why a lot of you were hired to do it, and you're good at it. Have a great Thursday.